So, Lindsey, I am super excited to have you on the show today. I've heard through the grapevine that you're an open book, that you have a lot to say,
Yes.
and I love your enthusiasm today. So, first and foremost, welcome to the show, and how are you?
Thank you. I'm amazing. It's Monday. I guess my team has this day off. They reminded me that they have this day off. So
It's a holiday that we're recording, but like a holiday to some. Martin Luther King,
yeah,
schools are closed. I think banks are closed. Small businesses, fun fact, not usually closed.
no, that's why I was confused. I'm like, you guys have that day off? That's news to me, but sure, take it off, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, but like then you have like the Targets of the world that they're like, we are not opening our doors on Christmas anymore. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe things
Yeah.
are changing. Maybe
It,
things are changing.
I love working and I need these kind of holidays to force myself to stop, you know? So thank you, Martin, for giving us another day off.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Martin. I
Thank
love
you.
you. So I am super excited to chat with you today for a variety of different reasons. If I have my way, we are going to really get into it. Before we do, I think it's always beneficial to just hear in your own words, sort of like how you got to where you are today. So if you could share with us some of like your highlight reel, but like the highest highs and include even some of the lows of your
Yeah.
professional journey so we can have a better sense of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, of course. My journey's pretty hectic. I started off modeling when I was 14, so I've been in this industry for a really, really long time and I've known the lay of the land for a really long time. So coming into this space as a model, and really young, you're very impressionable and not really knowing what you're getting into, especially with the people that are a part of this industry. It can be very, very dark, and being a woman, as we know, we always have to be really careful. I mean, going outside at night is like a perfect example. Like, we're the only, I feel like, gender that possibly someone would come out of a bush and like try to capture us. So being mindful of like this industry and being a woman and modeling is very overly sexualized. You're already putting yourself in a position of a lot of red tape, I guess you could say. So coming from that, and then I went straight into designing swimwear for a really long time for other companies, big companies actually, and becoming a creative director and designer. I just found, a little bit where this wasn't my purpose. I really enjoyed designing for a really long time, but then I feel like there was a moment where I was like, okay, this is not it. And at that time I was really, really depressed because I had my dream job supposedly, and I was dating the man I thought I was going to marry. And then everything just shifted, and I wasn't with the guy I thought I was going to marry. And my dream job just seemed very dull. And so I just spiraled into like this really, really dark depression. And I never thought I was going to ever have depression like that because I'm a very positive person and very confident, and my mindset is really strong. So it was really scary for me to be at that level. Like, I had to move home. That's how bad it was, just so my mom could like watch me and take care of me because it was really, really bad. And then that was the year I got into a car accident where I almost lost my life. And suicide was definitely in my mind during that drive of getting into a car accident because I was watching it happen before my eyes. And I was very okay with it because I was so depressed at that time in my life. And I have so much sympathy and empathy for people who have depression because mental health is really, really important, especially now as we see, on our phones. It's at its highest peak right now. So I definitely know that. And that's why I'm very careful about what I post on my Instagram too, is because there's a lot of people that need support at all times. And during that time, I survived that car accident and I pivoted in my life of, what do I want to do now? Like, this is my, almost my second cat life. That's how I looked at it. It's like, okay, I almost died. Now, what is my purpose? What do I want to do? And So this is when social media was kind of, being integrated into our lives. No one was making money off of it. It was during a time where people were taking pictures of random shit and posting it and being like, hey, this is creative or whatever. So it was really, really at the incubator stages of social media. And that's where I kind of really felt like I fit in. And I got back into the industry, and I wanted to be a creative director. And I also really wanted to protect models that were kind of falling into the same thing that I was when I was modeling. And that was really, really a priority for me, is making sure that people like me were taken care of. So I went into this business wanting to help people. I didn't go into this business wanting to make money. And then it kind of snowballed. I saw a really cool direction of where Instagram was going. And I knew I had to build a community to make our name well known. And I just got in at the right time with the right influencers and really highlighted our brand correctly. And we became international overnight. And we innovated a lot of cool things in the space, like the influencer tours. That was our business that started that. And you can see that now. Revolve does that, Boohoo does that, PacSun has really developed a great experience for product purchasing. And so that's been the goal now more than ever, is just make sure that, the people are highlighted, our clients are highlighted well, and just creating this massive community of good people. And like, that's our code of conduct every single day, is we want to make sure that we're aligned with the right community.
Well, I so appreciate so much of what you shared. Like, first and foremost, like just having the vulnerability to share like your journey in mental health, and like just being so honest about that, honest about like the highs and the lows. I pose this question to people hoping that they will give me what you just did. Because I just know out there listening in our audience and all over the place, like there are just people who have been through very similar to what you've been through. And it's extra hard to go through those experiences when you feel like you're completely alone. Like you, so even just having the bravery to just share your story and your experience, and you didn't even like, there's so much more to say, I'm sure. Just thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. It's really cool to also hear like your intentions for getting into the industry. It makes it real. I think it's really cool to know people's why in business, especially, just business owners, right? It's like, what makes you wake up every morning? What makes you work on a holiday? you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot, I didn't say I did have Lyme disease too during this. I had Lyme disease before the pandemic for over a year, and that was really tough. I mean, I think that was more tough than my car accident, because it's an invisible disease that no one really knows that you're going through. And at that time, my best friend of 25 years had Lyme disease, and she wanted to commit suicide. And I really, really, truly believe that God made me have it because I'm the stronger one out of both of us to both get through it. And we both cured ourselves from it. But that not having your health is also another reminder of how grateful I am to be alive and to be able to do the things that I love to do. I am literally a cat. I'm on life 3. So it's been a crazy journey. And also too, like a lot of the chaoticness that I was saying about my life has helped me pivot very, very easily in business and to stay afloat for this long. We're almost at a decade of being in business, and we've been successful since 12 months in, and that is an amazing accomplishment for me and my team. And I've just been so grateful because of all these, things that have happened in my life, because I know how to pivot. And I think that's really important when it comes to business, is understanding the lay of the land and where it's going to change, and being ready for it and prepared and not having so much pride to not change. I'm always really, really understanding and looking to my team to see where we need to move directions. And I'm not afraid to move directions. I think it's really important. And especially now, things change faster than ever. Traditional mindset is out the window, and you have to always be on top of it and understand where everything's going. So I think as a new business owner, as an old business owner, you can't think everything's just going to stay the same and you have the same clients, and you always have to be prepared. My team knows that, like, I don't really get excited about things. I always see, okay, what's the next thing we can accomplish to make sure that the team's happy, we're all excited, and we all keep our jobs. That's really important right now, is how do we keep our job?
And how does that outlook like affect you personally? Like, do you feel like you're able to be present, or are you really truly always looking to the future?
So, that's such a good question, because I think there is two different types of people, and maybe even more than that. There is people that are very present, and there's the people that look to the future, And I have everyone that works for me take a personality test. One test in mind is called the Working Genius, and it really identifies who you are as a human. And my working genius, which means, like, what am I great at, is I have a lot of discernment and I'm an innovator. And when it comes to being an innovator, you're never present. You're always thinking far, far into the future. And I've always wondered why I couldn't be present. And it's because it's not my genius. Like, I am incapable of being that. And I've accepted it for a really long time, that it's okay, because my natural ability is to not be in the moment.
That's so interesting. It's a great way to look at it. I'm not familiar with that test, but I've talked about on this podcast even before about DISC assessments, which I feel like are probably very similar, but it's just sort of like the results are probably like structured slightly differently.
Yeah.
And that's the key takeaway from DISC as well, which is exactly what you articulated. And I think that's a great way of sharing it. Like, it's just like what you're best at. It's not necessarily looking at, like, first of all, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something.
Yes.
Sometimes doing those things drain you and you wonder why. And it's because it's not really your natural style. I appreciate the heck out of that. If anyone is watching, listening, and hasn't explored it, DISC assessment is the one that I'm familiar with. Say again the one that you're familiar with, the name of it.
It's called Working Genius. And that's the thing too. I think that, when people want to be present and they're like, oh, you need to be more present, that might not give you anxiety, because you can live and breathe that and you feel comfortable being present. And when you see someone not being present, you're like, why aren't you present? Like, you need to be present. That doesn't give me calmness, like me looking to the future gives me calmness.
That's
And
so interesting.
yeah,
It's the perspective that you're sharing. Like, there's so much energy. There's only so much energy in our lives to expend, and there's only so much time to do it. And I love that what you're describing just sounds like, stop trying to be something that you're not and just fully embrace what you are. Is that sort of your assessment of it as well?
Exactly. And that's even too how we hire people that come on. Like, I don't want to change who you are. I want to amplify who you are. So doing these types of tests, like, we do multiple tests. We don't do just one. We do, the Myers-Briggs, and we do this other test. I forget, my team sent us a new one. But every time I have a new test, I send it out to the whole team, because I love learning about people. I think it's even funny because, like, I ask people always who work for me their zodiac signs. And I remember having someone be like, isn't that illegal? I'm like, no, it's not illegal, because it's another process of finding your personality, and even too, if someone doesn't believe in zodiac, or they do, I just think it's a way of getting to know people better. And I want to understand my team and I want to do the best I can for them. And I want to be on the same page and see if you fit in the direction that we're, hiring you for. So I think it's really important this day and age to really understand who's working for you, how you can align with them, how you can better them. And I've noticed a lot of people have asked me, like, how are you getting these people to come work for you and like be so excited to work for you? And I was like, because I'm giving them an opportunity to be them. I'm not trying to make them someone they're not. And I feel like that's just my motto too for myself is like, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm going to be someone's cup of tea in the morning. And those are the people I'm going to focus on. And we do that with everything. Like I tell my employees too, like we only have clients that we want to work with. If any client tries to make my team feel uncomfortable, is super rude, super entitled, and all this stuff, we kindly just tell them, unfortunately, we're not working with you. I don't wake up for money. I wake up for experiences and networking and communication and happiness and having my team happy. And there's no time to have a hemorrhoid as a talent, as a client, as an employee. I just don't work that way. And I'm not afraid to say no to someone based on their actions towards me or my team.
So I'd love to dig into that a little bit
Yeah.
because I feel like, especially in the influencer space, in the agency world broadly, there have been, and in full transparency, the only agencies I've worked for or owned are management agencies, which I feel like are different
Yeah.
slightly. There's still all the big personalities, but in a slightly different way. But I know there are a lot of people listening who they're like, oh my gosh, I work at an agency and there's like toxic behavior left and right, whether it's internal or our brand client. And, my paycheck, I'm told, is contingent upon making these people happy. And when they say jump, I say how high.
Yeah.
Yet I am concerned as somebody who wants to see this industry really thrive and us to be at the forefront of progress,
Mhm.
that toxic behavior isn't benefiting anybody and it's going to set us back. You've previously mentioned in conversations between us that you have strong opinions on just like toxicity, toxic people. I have certainly experienced it. I've talked about it a little bit on this podcast. I'm sure our audience, like I mentioned, has experienced toxicity in the workplace and in business. What have you experienced? You can be specific or not. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear like what advice you would give to others who are also coming across that toxicity.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been through the ringer. I'm a very giving person. I almost give to a fault and I give a lot of times to the wrong people. And I've had to learn through the years, to have boundaries. I honestly think my Lyme disease came from, I was just at a level where I was giving too much. I was being too taken advantage of in this industry and giving my all. And so my body was like, wow, you need to chill. You need to revisit who's actually important to be giving that much to. And I was in terms, it was almost like I was sleeping with everyone, but then expecting them to marry me. And when I say that, I'm saying I was expecting them to mirror me, like, oh, I'm giving this much, they're going to give back. And it's like, no, not everyone in this industry is going to do that for you. And there's a lot of toxic people in this industry because we're in an industry of it's all about me, and talent are like that. Clients are like that. And I feel like even too in the agency space and management space, they've been entitled like, ooh, look who I manage. So I can treat you like shit. Like it's almost like an insecurity of making them feel like they're good enough because of who they represent. It's like hiding behind that wall. So I see it all day and I'm really, really careful who I work with. And anyone who knows me that's in this space knows the kind of person I am. I will be loyal as fuck. The moment you cross me, you don't know me anymore. And I'm very much like that with the talent in everyone, like we have really respectful talent. Like we have talent that like get on FaceTime with us and say, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you do. That is not normal. I know that's not normal because I've seen it. And I've seen a lot of agents feel very overworked, overwhelmed, and like, kissing the ass of a lot of their talent. And I respect my talent, and they better as hell respect me because I work 24/7 for them. I try to get in front of everyone for them, and I try to build them and support them. And I will be there if they need me to take them to the hospital, whatever. They know that's the kind of person I am. And so we both need to mirror that. And more than ever now, like, I don't care how much money you're going to bring to me. If you are not on the same page as me, I don't work for you because I am not your assistant. And it's the same thing as clients. Like, I want to be friends with my clients. I want to wake up and be like 120% in. I want to see them thrive. I want to see them be who they are. And like, I want to give their baby life because I look at their brand as my baby too. And I'm not waking up for anyone who treats me like shit. And so I give the same advice to everyone that works for me. You do not have to wake up and feel at any level to have to deal with that. I don't give a fuck if that's a $2 million business coming in, you're not dealing with it because there's not enough time in the day to actually waste time on people that are toxic and hemorrhoids. And because you're going to give so much value to that client or that talent and not enough time to the people that have been supportive and love you and treat you amazing. And so God has been really good at giving us amazing clients. And I think that I look at the testimonial. At the end of the day, someone who's negative is always going to be negative about talking about you. They're never going to be highlighting you behind your back. And I think guerrilla marketing is the most important thing, not only social media marketing, but guerrilla marketing. Because the person that really enjoyed the experience and wants to be friends with you, like client, talent, whatever, is going to talk really good about you behind closed doors. The person that's never happy and always thinks you're going to fail and not succeed is going to be talking negatively about you no matter what. So I look at that in the long run. Yeah, I might be missing out on $2 million, but really in the long run, I'm going to be gaining 10 plus clients because the clients that love me and want a testimonial from me are going to be talking about me all day to other clients.
And toxic people, man, they drain you.
Yeah.
At the very minimum, they certainly don't fill you up. I've said, especially because you're also part of the work that you do is on the management side.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone listening who's been on the management side, you have as well. Like there's just talent that like for one reason or another, their head grows beyond, imagination. And I don't know, it just things can change really quickly. But I will tell you this, because I don't really like to focus on the negative. The best clients I've ever worked with are the ones who are hustling just as hard as you and your team are.
Yes.
And that's like anything in life, like whether it's a talent that you're managing or whatever client that you have, your partner in life, man. Like if you can find somebody who matches you, imagine what you are able to do together. And that is an incredibly powerful thing. So if you were to give advice to somebody who's like in it right now with, toxicity, would you tell them to speak up? Would you tell them to, walk away? What would you tell them in order to like support themselves in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in it myself, I've worked for people that have treated me that way and just was like, suck it up and, work extra hours because you need to, and this is the only job that will hire you. And that, like the laundry list of reasons and excuses of why we put ourselves through hell. At the end of the day, it's your choice where you want to be. And at the moment you are where you are is because of yourself. It's not because of anyone else. Like you are the main character in every story that you have lived. So if you're not happy and you do not want to be treated the way you are, what you are, get out of it. You know what I mean? The best feeling ever is to jump into fear because fear means change and change means happiness and pursuit and drive. Being still in a space that you feel has crippled you in your mental health, in your feeling of confidence, of feeling of any direction that you're in a jail cell is based on if you want to unlock that door or not and get out of that jail cell. I think too many people are worried about, will I ever find a job, or will I ever, be happier than this? 100%. I've seen it. I've seen people get out of their 6-figure jobs and take a cheaper job and they're happier. I mean, just in that, money isn't everything. I think we're too worried about the dollar sign, and we put our happiness on the back burner because of it. And we have a really long time to live. We're not living till we're 40. We're living till we're like 110. And we're not even like close to being halfway there. So if you're going to spend a lot of time being unhappy, I think you need to also realize there's a lot of time to revisit where you want to be in happiness,
I appreciate the heck out of that. I would also love to pivot slightly because I want to talk a little bit about money. You mentioned money, your relationship to money. Money and finances are such a taboo topic for a lot of people, especially women, to talk about. And recently, we even started sharing like results of this incredible survey that we were doing that people submitted anonymously, their salary, their benefits, all this stuff. And we got incredible engagement. And most of the sentiment was like, thank God I know this. Like, thank you for doing this. Like, not enough people talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. And there's so much history behind why people have the relationship that they do with money. I'd love to hear about your relationship to money because it does sound it sounds to me as if you've done a bit of exploration around that. I could be wrong, but talk to me a little bit about your relationship to money, especially as a business owner.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends that have a really hard time with money. And for me at this level, I've noticed from being paycheck to paycheck to now to not thinking that way, the only difference has been that when I was from paycheck to paycheck, I actually had more time to do activities that I really love to do. Now I work every day, all day, whatever. But what I've learned throughout the years is when I had paycheck to paycheck, I was stressing out a lot, thinking about what I was going to make, what's going to happen. And I think at some level during this business is when I stopped focusing on what I was making more. I was thriving more when I wasn't counting my dollars, when I wasn't worried about what was happening. And not to say that every business owner needs to not stop, allocating and understanding what you're making each month. But when you're worried about it, I think it does something to you internally that like makes you only do things for money. And for me, it's like, I don't do things for money. I definitely have to eat, survive, and like make sure my team gets fed. And that's more of a priority for me than really worrying about what I'm making. I'm not a business owner that thinks about myself first. Even in my house, I haven't even put together my room because I'm always so worried about how other people will feel when they come over. I want my living room to be nice for them and everything. So I always put myself last. And that's the same way as my business is like, I will fully start working for free if it means that I keep my team on, and they don't have to worry about getting another job. I am that kind of boss. I don't think about myself first. And I think that's also too why I overwork myself, because I want to make sure that everyone that I'm around gets 120% of me. And I'm okay with that. Like I'm not sitting here criticizing that, but that is internally who I am. And my relationship with money is I don't know. I look at it as like even two lollipops. Like if lollipops were a high priority to everyone, we'd be counting our lollipops. And for me, it's just I've never been taught to stress about it so much. Both of my family members are not like all about money. So I've grown up to be very independent, very entrepreneurial, but look at business differently. Look at business as relationships, not as transactions, I guess you could say.
And so, in that vein, I know that you are a networker. I know you're a big networker. I think that you prioritize it a lot. And, makes sense. You telling me that, you're not so like money focused. Some people are money driven, not money focused. You're doing well for yourself. So, something's working. And perhaps it's your focus on relationships and networking. Look, we're a networking organization at our core. Certainly, we do like a bunch of other things, but people forget that. Yet, I'll be honest, I struggle with getting people to our networking events. People in our members are tell me that they're uncomfortable with it. They don't know how to do it, and I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you network and with purpose?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves. Just this weekend, I was at a summit to speak at, kind of a networking thing. And my main operations girl came with me and she was like, "Oh, I don't like these." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, there's so much pressure to actually talk to people and like have to come up to people. And like, it's almost like people know why you're there. So it's like even more nerve wracking because people think, okay, they're expecting you to come up to them and ask them, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like people are expecting you to come up to them for a purpose and not for them. And for me, I look at networking as I get to meet new people and enjoy who they are. I never go into a space putting my business as the forefront. And I think that's a lot of times why people get so nervous is because you're having to do this elevator speech and you have to like convince people about what you do and da da da. And my approach is like, I want to get to know the person. I want to see if we actually fit as people, if you really like talking to me, because I feel like social media even too is all about branding yourself now. And then your business comes as an afterthought. If people really enjoy you, they're going to enjoy what you do. So when I look at these experiences of meeting new people, I just want to get to know them. I have no priority to figure out what they do. And that really takes and alleviates a lot of the pressure because I just want to meet this person. So if I see someone, I'm like, "Oh my God, she has a great top on or she has great hair." I just want to say hi and just introduce myself and be like, "Hi, I'm Lindsey. I've never been to this, conference or whatever. It's so nice to meet you. Like, how are you?" It's not, "What do you do? What can you do for me?" I don't work that way. I don't like when people come at me and want to, because when I tell people my business, they're like, "Oh, I'm a talent," or "Can you manage me?" or how can you help me?" Like, that turns me off because I want the relationships to be genuine at every level. I don't want it to be a fake transactional conversation. And so I think that's why a lot of people are very uncomfortable with it, is because they have to turn on this like secretary robotic person. And I think once they don't do that, it alleviates a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just like I think that a lot of it is like what will have people be more successful at it, I see, is just like having a curiosity about people and like wanting to learn more about them and like focusing just like on the present. We're talking about being present and stuff.
Yeah.
And like so maybe you are really good at that, because I feel like real quality networking, like that is what it is. It's not thinking about, how can I strategically work with them in the future, or like what is this
Yeah.
networking going to become? It really is about being present together in that moment, and then the follow-ups to just say like, no, I want to just establish a relationship with this person. I liked this person, like we had something in common, a drive that we both felt to be in this industry. It's really interesting too. I find that like a lot of women in influencer marketing in particular, like they're very like-minded. I can't necessarily explain what it is, like why that is, but I have found that it's none of us really grew up thinking that this was a viable career path, that we could even do this for a living. And so like we have, right? Like, so we have very different backgrounds, but it does combine like very unique parts of your brain. There's like a little bit of creativity, but there's also like a business savviness. And there's also like a lot of people in this industry are very like wicked smart. So we were just like connecting on a human level. It's more enjoyable.
Yeah,
That's
for
for
sure.
sure, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I think everyone has like this toolbox of like what's supposed to be the right way to do everything. And everyone's like going back to like almost like traditional caveman history, like, oh, this is how you do sales and this is how you do this. And it's not like that anymore. Like people just want to connect, and whatever that leads into is going to lead into what it is. And even too, like not everyone is everyone's cup of tea, right? So, when you approach someone and you're leading with your business, they're either going to be one, turned off or turned on. But either way, they're still going to decide if they want to work with you based on who you are. You know what I mean? Like, when have you ever gone into a networking and been like, oh yeah, that shitty person over there, I'm going to work with them because they really sold me it. So I don't think that that's ever what people gravitate towards. People gravitate towards genuine transparency and like people that they want to actually talk to. So if you enjoy talking to each other, like, of course that's going to be how a business is, like it's just going to be a different area that you're talking. So yeah, I think there shouldn't be so much pressure in networking. I think you should just be yourself and be you. And whoever gravitates towards that is supposed to be the right person for you in business. So
I love it. I love it. I've so enjoyed our conversation.
Yay.
I would love for our members to connect with you and learn more about you and your company. And so if anyone wants to reach out, which I'm sure that they will, what is the best way for them to do so?
On Instagram, we're vamped, VAMPPED. And then my personal is Linz, LINZ Heppner, HEPPNER. And then you can just connect with us at contact@vamp.com.
Perfection. And of course, we'll link everything below. I'm so grateful that you came on today. I really, really enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to seeing you around the women community.
Amazing. Thank you so much.